So I'm excited about this video. I'm finally unveiling my new home theater. Please like, subscribe, check out my affiliate links in the description below. I really appreciate it. If you're looking at building a home theater, or if you have one built already and you want some ideas on what to prioritize and how to make things sound better, this channel is for you specifically. And I'm really excited about this theater space. I'm not restricted. I can finally build the theater that I want to build. I always challenge conventional wisdom. When you go by the book, you're missing out on a lot. My distance hack alone is major. My crossover hack, major, especially when you're running deep bass subs. Some of you have dedicated home theaters that make this look silly. I'm trying to be approachable for those people that come in and say, hey, I want to build something. I need a little help. And you'll find that help on my channel. And it's from videos I made 2 months ago, from videos I made 10 years ago. I said it in my last video. Getting the bass right is very hard because there's so many pitfalls. One little thing can screw up your entire experience when it comes to bass. You can find those answers on my channel. No one's going to mistake me for having spent $200,000 in this room. And I've also done things that I might not have done if I wasn't running this channel. A great example is these corner units. They're not expensive. They work great for holding my bookshelves here. But the nice part is I can turn them this way, and then I have room to review tower speakers. It still makes sense. It's good for my symmetrical centric viewers, which believe me, I understand. I don't have to go and reconfigure everything just to review a new product. So I don't have the height speakers hooked up yet. I had to get a different tool to be able to run the wire up the wall. And that's what the blue tape is. Those are my studs. The speaker wire is going to be run on either side. I'm doing simple stuff when it comes to wire management. This is wall-to-wall carpeting, so I can just tuck the speaker cable right underneath the baseboard. That's it. Simple, done, problem solved. I couldn't do that before because I had a wood floor. And because I'm running a 14 gauge cable rather than a 12 or a 10, I'm able to tuck in 2 channels on each side. So the surround and the height speaker are already both tucked in underneath there. That kind of information could save someone a lot of time. If it can save someone else time and money and just a bunch of labor, I want to talk about that stuff. This is a 98-inch TCL QM6. Honestly, a huge bargain on this thing. And it's a good TV. I was surprised. It's a mini LED. But why not a projector? Why didn't I do that? Well, look at the light that I have in here. And that's just having those 2 curtains open. And this is an overcast day. I didn't have to get an ambient light rejecting screen. And it's budget friendly. This thing was less than $2,000. For a 98-inch TV, that's great. I paid a professional company to come out and install it because I thought it'd be nice, so I don't have to worry about it. I'll never do that again. Let's just say that if you want to hire someone to install your TV, make sure they use an actual stud finder rather than one of those magnetic ones, because the magnetic ones aren't going to line you up directly in the center of the stud. I've installed 2 other TVs in the house myself. I know how to do them. It was just as a big TV, like someone to come in and professionally do it. And I got a 3 stud mounting plate to install it because I'm not screwing around. And I'm like, are you going to pre-drill the holes? Oh, no, it's not a big deal. I'm like, aren't you afraid of the studs splitting? Because that's a big lag bolt that you're running through there. Oh, no, it's no big deal. It went in, he missed the stud, and so he went in sideways. I'm just very unhappy with it because I asked him, and rather than asking him, I should have told him, drill a pilot hole. I don't know if he split a stud installing this thing. I have no idea. And if he did, it's damage that I won't find out about until the TV falls down, which is a possibility. Just make sure that they use the right stuff and that they pre-drill the holes. Make sure at least they follow the directions for the TV mounting kit, okay? At a minimum. I was really upset about that. So from now on, I'm mounting my own TVs. Now, another thing, why is the TV so high? I had a lot of you give me grief in the last theater about the TV being above the fireplace. A lot of people are like, that's not the way you're supposed to do it. That's a conventional wisdom says it's supposed to be so high up off the ground, blah, blah, blah. But this is one of those occasions where I did go by the book. You see how I've got this reclined here? All right, that's where I sit. That's where my head is. Now, if you look, where does my line of sight go? towards the top of the TV. Okay. So I could have put this higher, but I'm going to get opinions as it is where it sits. Just check out my comments. You'll see it. People are like, that TV's too high. Well, maybe your TV's too low, or maybe you're sitting straight eye level. Then it does make sense to put it lower for you. But a lot of people I know that have a home theater, usually they're reclined. So I found myself doing it for years. I was almost looking through my feet to see the TV. Again, I went by the book. Where do my eyes land? And my eyes land at the higher end of the TV. So that's why it's as high as it is. Then we have the Unusual Entertainment Center. Because I decided to go with the Marantz Cinema 30, it's a lot larger and a lot deeper than the X4500 it replaced. It simply wouldn't fit in the other stand. It would have been hanging over about 2-3 inches. That amplifier is a big amplifier and it's heavy. I needed something where I could breathe. I wanted it to be in the center because it's a beautiful amplifier. It's arguably the best amplifier you can get on the market if you're going to use just your AVR to power your speakers. I have run external amplification before. Yeah, no, I wouldn't do it again. The reason being is because I have my subwoofers do all the heavy lifting. All the stuff that requires that large amount of power, that's all bass. And I cross over my speakers at least 90 hertz instead of small. They don't need that much power. Bottom line is subwoofers do it better than virtually any regular full range speaker. They just do the bass better. Okay, let them do it. My fiance and I, we're both fans of mid-century modern, so I found this coffee table on Amazon, and it happened to work pretty well for what I wanted. I've got the heavy amplifier close to the ground, the Blu-ray player off to the side, and I've got all kinds of room for everything to breathe. If you want to kill your amplifier, put it in a sealed box. Heat will kill amplifiers. They need to breathe. So that was another big reason for doing it that way. You'll notice I've got this foam pad holding up the center channel. The reason for that is because I wanted the center channel to be higher. I didn't want any echo from the cocktail table, which can happen. Is it the prettiest thing? Is it the most sleek looking thing? No. Will it be permanent? Not sure. But for right now, acoustically, it's fantastic. I also put foam pads under my other speakers as well. You don't want resonance coming through your cabinetry, and it will if you don't put something in between it. Even just a folded up towel is better than nothing. Originally setting this up, I was excited because I was like, oh, I can finally properly corner load subwoofers. But I'm running them inboard, and there's a reason for that. I found out that when you run them corner loaded, as opposed to inboard like this, it's not as powerful, it's not as clean, it's not as tight. It just didn't sound right. I found this out when I was running the PB17 Ultra Evolutions from SVS. Those are monsters, phenomenal subs. I brought them inboard, fixed everything. And having them inboard, the clarity is much better. It's just a better, cleaner sound. I've been in a production bottleneck all year, partially because of moving, and that took a lot of my energy. Those of you who have been following the channel know that I have brain injury. So I have post-concussion syndrome from falling out of my semi-truck in 2001, which isn't necessarily terminal, but the older I get, the worse it's going to get. And that's just the trajectory of the condition, okay? And to be clear, I'm not looking for any pity, okay? But that's why my production is what it is. Spotty, simple, but hopefully still helpful and informative. Now that I have things set up, I asked SVS to send out their Ultra Evolution series so I could check them out. And I will say that the vapor deposition diamond tweeter does stand out. And it stands out in a weird way because it stands out for not standing out, if that makes any sense. Accuracy means a lot of things to a lot of different people. So when you're sitting there listening to something, watching it, and you keep being drawn to, say, your rear channels, and you keep thinking about them, and they almost interrupt what you're watching, probably because they're turned up too much. And that happens when you're too close to them. Or the subs are making you think about them because they're just not balanced, or something's missing, or they're acting up. When it's right, you don't think about it because you're so engrossed in what you're watching. That's a sign of a good product, of a good performance when you don't really have to think about it. I really do like the diamond coated tweeters, and I'm looking forward to some trickle down technology. Definitely stay tuned on that one. As far as some other things about the room, I got some thicker curtains, as you can see, to help with the light and the sound absorption. I'm running 14 gauge wire, and I didn't spend $1,000 a foot for it. I want twisted pair rather than parallel. I want purity of copper, and good reviews matter, but mainly as a disqualifier. So if everything is there, purity of copper, and it's twisted pair, but the reviews are like a 3 out of 5 stars, something's wrong. I could go 12 gauge, I can go 10 gauge, but the attenuation distances don't require it. The biggest thing is the attenuation tables. You're running a longer wire than, say, 50 feet or whatever it is, then yes, you need a larger gauge cable, 12 or 10. But for this room, for all the speakers I'm running, as far as the distances are going, I do not need anything larger than a 14 gauge. I will say that when you have exposed speaker cable, the rear of the center channel, you can see it. And so getting a nicer looking speaker cable makes sense. So I'm switching that over to an SVS cable. It's a 12 gauge cable, plenty of thickness, twisted pair, and it just looks nice. That makes total sense. If you're going to spend money on speaker cables and you can see them, then yeah, get a nicer looking cable. These white cables, they're not much to look at, but they're not meant to be seen. I also hid the wires for the TV. There's no wires coming down, the power cable or the HDMI, not there. I just did one of those kits from Amazon. I liked it so much, I ran it for another TV, and it's pretty easy to use. I'll be covering some of these things in more depth, like hiding speaker cable, what's worth prioritizing when it comes to a budget, what you should spend your money on, what you shouldn't, where it makes sense. For example, I can confidently say that you'll get more for your money with matching dual deep bass subwoofers rather than getting the top of the line AVR. Okay, I can say this from experience. I've got the Marantz Cinema 30 there. Now, I have no regrets about the Marantz Cinema 30. I really don't. It's legitimately everything I could possibly want, aside from being super affordable. Okay, that it's not. But if I had to choose, due to budget constraints, I'd have a Denon X3800 or a Marantz equivalent in favor of large matching dual deep bass subs. Okay, eyes closed, the difference in running a top shelf AVR and basic subwoofers compared to deep bass subwoofers and a more budget friendly AVR, the improvement you get from the subs is undeniable. It smacks you across the face. Okay, when you get it set up right, it's undeniable. You don't have to close your eyes. It's obvious the difference you get. Those are the types of things I'll touch on because that's something good to know. Like, I've got an extra $2,000 to spend. Should I spend it on my AVR or should I spend it on my subs? I'm going to get subs no matter what. I'm going to get an AVR no matter what. Where should I put the money? In my opinion, subs are better spent. Subwoofers are where it's at. It just smacks you across the face, or more accurately, it kicks you squarely in the chest. And it does that with clarity, comfort, and accuracy. You have to listen real close to hear the difference between the 4500 Denon and the Cinema 30. And again, I love the Cinema 30. Okay, there's no buyer's remorse there. But going from basic subwoofers to matching deep bass ported subwoofers, especially something like these PB3000s, unless you screw it up, the difference is going to be so dramatic and game changing. Once you hear it, it's hard to go back. I'm real about that. It can be downright disturbing. Going to commercial movie theaters is a difficult thing for me. The bass is just so incorrect. And it's the same thing for live music. It's like nails on a chalkboard. And look, there are exceptions to that, but it's a problem. Once you hear it right, you're like, oh, that's how bass should sound. And then you hear it everywhere else, and it's just all wrong. Honestly, sometimes my car gets it better just through the basic system than a movie theater does or a live concert does. That's disappointing, but it's the reality. And there's way more subwoofers that pretend to be subwoofers than there are actual deep bass subwoofers. Let me know if you have any ideas for this theater. My plans are to keep it fairly simple. I want to keep it clean looking, and functionality and performance is above all else. I still have a lot to do, more products coming up to check out, including what I already have in this room. Check out my website, follow my affiliate links, comment, subscribe, All that stuff allows my channel to grow, and I really appreciate it. Thanks again for all the support. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe.